Okay, so moving forward, this is the basic layout of Adobe Premiere Pro. There's basically 4 or 5 sections that you'll need to know about. The top left-hand corner is going to be your edit window. That's where everything's going to be laid out. Let me change one thing real quick before we move forward. Okay, yeah, that's right. So we have our edit window. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have our I hear some people typing, so you might want to pay attention. So the bottom left-hand corner is your file bin. That's where you're going to put all your pictures, your video, your music, graphics, whatever is going to go down here. Top right-hand corner is going to be your timeline viewer, so everything you build in the timeline is going to be shown up here. And the bottom right-hand corner is going to be the timeline itself. This is where you're going to build your project. You have a couple more windows here that I have available to me. If you don't see it right away, that's okay. I just kind of want you to follow along at this point, and you don't have to actually do everything I'm doing. Just kind of try and absorb what I'm saying. This is going to be your tool palette. This may be up here. It may be in the middle up here somewhere or over here on the right. But I'm only going to require that you know how to do 2 out of all of these tools. The selection tool allows you to select your files and drag them and move them around. And then the razor blade tool, well, I'll show you in a minute what that does, but it's pretty self-explanatory. So you can bring in, and the last thing is your graphics window. This is your essential graphics. If you do not see this window with graphics in it, you can go to the window tab at the very top and scroll down until you see something called Essential Graphics. If it doesn't have a check mark next to it, just click on it and it should appear for you as an option. So now I'm going to bring in footage, bring in files into my project so we can start editing. There's 2 different ways you can do this. The easy way is just to simply double click in the file bin and you can go up here and select your files. So I'm going to go to your desktop. I'm going to go to my desktop and navigate to a couple different things and bring in some footage. So I'm just going to bring in these right now. And as you can see, it brought it in. There's a couple different things. There's 2 pictures and I have 3 videos. The pictures are color coordinated as pink and all the videos are coordinated as blue. So if you're looking for a specific file type, and they all kind of are, there's a bunch of files in here, you can look at the color coordination of whatever the file is associated with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out a little project, and this will allow you to understand how to build out your news project and then how to do your projects after that. The other way to bring in footage is to go to File, Import, and the only reason I'm showing you this is because sometimes you have so many files in your file bin that there's no room to double click on it. Like if I were to double click up here, it would bring in the footage that I have. So if there's a ton of files and no room to double click, you will not be able to do that. So you'll have to go to File, Import, and then it will give you the same window that we did with the double click. Alright, so we're going to do a couple things. I'm going to show you how to chroma key, / green screen. And then I'm going to show you how to edit, and I'm even going to show you how to do some special effects if you want to do that. This is how you're going to overlay those effects and so forth. I'm also going to show you how to do some titling, how to do those lower thirds that we talked about, like when you're introducing somebody or talking to somebody on the screen, you want to put their name up on the screen. That's called a lower third. I'm going to show you how to do that as well as a title screen at the very beginning. But we're just going to start with the project itself, just doing a basic shot. So this is me in the green screen room. I'm just doing a kind of a Street Fighter 2 Dragon Ball Z move there. Looking like a complete dork. Okay, here we go. So there's the first thing we want to do, and this is the most basic of edits. There are 2 brackets here. The one on the left is called Mark In. That's giving you an endpoint to your footage. And then I'm going to scroll this forward by clicking on dragging the blue marker here to where I want it to stop. And then I'm going to give it a mark out. If you can see here, it's grayed out the area that we're going to use specifically for this file. Now there are 3 different ways you can bring the footage into the timeline. You can bring both the audio and the video by clicking and dragging within the picture and bringing it down to the timeline. You can do just the video. So underneath the picture there's 2 icons. There's one of like a little film strip. It's like a square, white square, and then right to the right of that is a soundbite file. That would be just the audio only. So if I bring down just the video only, that brings just the video down. And if I bring the audio only, that brings just the audio down. You can see these 2 move together, and obviously these do not, as I've only brought them down separately. Now these are important. We talked about B-roll for that news project. You don't really need the audio for your B-roll. It's just designed to give the viewer more information for your project. So if you're talking about something that happened in the cafeteria at the Buinger, you're probably going to have a shot of the Buinger, maybe some kids eating at the table or whatever. You don't need their audio. You just need to use that as B-roll footage. Well, you would just overlay that on the top. Whatever's on the top is what you're going to see in your project. So that's how you're going to need to layer it. It's kind of like a collage in art class. If you've ever taken an art class where they made you build a collage out of like magazine clippings and stuff like that, as you put things one on top of the other, whatever's on the top is what you're going to see. So if you can kind of like think about that, that's how it's built in the program. That might help you understand what's going to be seen on the screen. So I'm going to delete those individual files by just clicking on them and hitting the backspace button, and that's going to make them go away. And now I can move this around and put it wherever I want. So now we just have this shot right here. It has my audio. There's really no audio that I used in this. You can insert music there, you can soundtrack, whatever you need to do, special effects, sound effects, etc. So I'm going to put that at the very edge there at the very front. It's going to start at 0. And now we need a background. Obviously we don't want the green screen to be the background, so we have a couple of options. We have this shot of the surface of a planet, and then we have like a street scene. I'm going to bring the planet down and put it underneath me. As I said, you want to order this. Whatever's on top is what you're going to see. So since I'm going to be in front of the background, you want that to be on top. As you can see, there's nothing we can see here. We have to add a filter so we can get that green screen out. To do that, within the project file bin, there should be something called the effects tab. Now your file bin, for some reason, may be up here at the top right. If you want your layout to look exactly like mine, you can go up to Window, Workspaces, and then move down to Editing. And that is the layout that I have for my program. So if it doesn't look like this and you're like, where the heck is this, Mr. Rand? I'm not seeing it. It may be in the top right hand corner or something. Okay, if you don't see the effects tab down here, you see how there's several different things I can click on. If there's 2 arrows here pointing to the right, if you click on that, it'll give you a drop down menu and you can go down to effects. When you click on that, it's going to give you all your effects that you have available to you in the program. We're going to search for something called Ultra Key, U-L-T-R-A, Ultra. And there's a couple options, but we're going to use Ultra Key. And we're going to drag that, click and drag, hold and drag it over to the blue footage, which is our footage of me in the studio. When I drop that, you can see that this bar turned red. That means that there's an effect associated with it that the computer has to render. You can see you still can't see the effect, but if you double click on that clip, it will load it into the edit window. If I were to double click on the planet, it would load that up here if I wanted to edit on that. But we're going to be editing this little clip right here, so I double click on that. And then this specific clip has an effect controls tab as well. And you can see if you scroll down, it has that Ultra Key layer. And all I have to do is use the color selection tool, which is, it looks like a little medicine dropper that your parents probably used on you when you were a child. Click on that, and this will allow you to select any color to key out. I'm just going to click somewhere in the green, and there you go, it's pretty much instantaneous. Now, if you were to be up there real close to the screen, or even looking on my computer, if I were to play this, it would be a little bit pixelated. It didn't get all of the green, and you can kind of see it more at the top than you can anywhere else. It's pretty hard to see from the back of the room. But all I can say, if you want to clear that up, there's other parameters you can change within Ultra Key. So under Ultra Key, there's more things that down here that you can change. If you go to the matte generation button, and I can guarantee this will be on the test, so that's matte generation, and then go down to pedestal. I know these are things you probably never heard of in your life, so that's why it's important that you pay attention. So matte generation, then pedestal, and right now it's set to 10. You can click and drag that all the way to 100, and then it pretty much makes it crystal clear. So that is something you will see when you're doing green screen. You'll be like, this looks pixelated, there's a lot of, it doesn't look clear. That's what you're gonna wanna do. You're gonna wanna adjust your matte generation and pedestal, okay? So right now we just have this, which looks pretty plain Jane. There's not much going on. We have the background. I'm gonna jump back to my footage by going to the 2 arrows in my file bin and select the project. And then there's all my footage again. What we need to do next is we need to give me like some effects. It looks like I'm throwing some kind of power out or something, a special effect. This should be coming out of my hands. So I've downloaded a couple of these from YouTube. These are just for educational purposes only. They're explosions and powers and stuff set on a green screen. You can, if you're ever looking for stuff like that, you can always go to YouTube and search like special effect, green screen, power. Just be as detailed as possible, and there's probably something out there for it. So I'm just going to select this one right here. And I'm going to give it an in and out point by using the brackets like we did earlier. And then I'm going to drag down just the video because we don't need the audio there. And you can see it still kind of looks like a mess. What do you think we need to do with that green screen? What's the filter again? What's the name of the filter that we use? Chroma key, yes, but what's the name of that chroma key filter? I spelled it out for you. Ultra Key, that's right. So we're going to go back and find the Ultra Key in the Effects tab. It's already up, it's still up because we still have it in the search bar. And I'm going to drag that over to the effect. We're going to do everything we just did to my video by double clicking on that, loading it, using the effect controls to find the Ultra Key, using the selection tool to key out the green. If you want to adjust the matte generation, you can make it a little more clear. And now it still looks terrible. Okay, we can see the background. It's overlaid over me, it's not in the right area, it's going the wrong way. So there's a lot of things you can do within this effects tab. We still have it selected. If you go up to the very top, under motion, you can adjust the position, up or down. You can use the scale if you want to make it bigger or smaller. And then rotation, so we want to rotate it around and make it go the right way. And then we probably want to shrink it down a little bit using the scale, and use the position to move it over to where my hands are. And all of a sudden it starts looking like something that could actually be used. But now the timing's off. So we need it to come on as soon as my hands kind of go out and look like they're throwing something. So I'm going to move this over a little bit in the timeline. So now it won't come out until I put my hands out. So now it looks pretty good, but as you can see, the clip is longer than the other two clips. So we want to clip off the end of that clip. There's 2 ways we can do it, and this is where the razor blade tool comes into play. So if I scroll over here with my viewer here, the blue viewer, I can use the razor blade tool, come over here and click on that blue line, and that will separate that in half. And now we have 2 files. And it ends pretty much the same way. The best way to do it though is to, just gonna delete that, is if it were to be out here, is if you click on the end, or if you just hover above the end or the beginning of your clip, it will turn into a different icon. It won't be that arrow, it'll be something else. If you click on it, you can click and drag it and make it exactly the length that you want it. So that's how I would do that. Razor blade cuts it in half, and the selection tool will allow you to drag in and out, however much footage is in that clip. Okay, so now we have this amazing professional, could be inserted into any Avengers movie immediately clip. But honestly, they spend like months and months and months on those movies and special effects. This took us maybe 5 minutes to create, so give me a little leeway on the quality there. So that's the basics of ordering stuff. Now, everybody's probably shot already their beginning, intro, they've maybe gone out and got some B-roll or gotten their interviews out of the way, knocked out. If you have all that, you're gonna have several files here that you can order into a project. And again, you're just basically giving it in and out points, then you're dragging it down until you have lots of files. If your timeline looks zoomed in here and maybe you wanna see all the files in the timeline at once, there is a slider bar at the very bottom you can use to slide your footage around. If you click on the two dots on either end, you can click and drag it to make it wider or more detail. Like if you only want to work with a couple of frames, you can zoom in as far as you can. But this will allow you to move stuff around. If you want to select a whole bunch of files at once and move them over, it will keep them together. And that way you can order everything you need. All right, just got a couple more points and then I will let y'all get going on shooting the remainder of your video or start the editing process. How to do titles. So we have, let's say I don't have a piece of news footage here, but I do have myself. We're just gonna add a lower third. On the right-hand side of the screen, there should be something called Essential Graphics that we loaded earlier. If you click on the Browse tab, it will show you all the ones that are available to you. You can scroll down and just see what you got. I'm just gonna type in lower third in there. And it's gonna give me all the different lower thirds that are available to me. So here's some that I have. You may not have the exact same ones, you may have different ones because I've downloaded a few to my computer. I'm just gonna pick one at random and bring it over, and where do you think we're gonna put that? You think we're gonna put it on the top or the bottom? Where should this file go? Top, yeah, it's gonna be overlaying the footage, so we want that at the top. And we want that to be what you see. As you can see, it's already in there, and it's actually an animated, it's just not, has to be rendered file. So the couple things we're gonna do here, you can see the file's too long. We're going to reduce that using the selection tool. And then if you click in here, it should give you the options over here on the right. It's the main title. I'm going to change that to my name. And it's going to change it in real time. And then the second text box will give you something to add. So how they do it in the news is they usually put the person's name on top, and then underneath it in smaller lettering is what they do for the news station. So news anchor, field reporter, if they're interviewing somebody, Bedford sheriff, whoever you're interviewing, what they have to do with the story or what their title is. So I'm just gonna put AV teacher. And click out of it and it should change that in real time. So that's how you put your lower thirds in there and the titles for all the people that you're interviewing. And how you do a title is very similar. I'm gonna move this down so we can find the title. I'm just going to do the same thing in the search bar up here. Instead of lower third, I'm going to change that to title. Hit the enter button, and there should be several to choose from. Now I have more than y'all do. A lot of people look for different ones, but I'm just going to put something simple in here. I'm going to close that out as a matter of fact. And this one is one I'm going to use called News Intro. You may not have this one available to you. So to order this, we want to make sure that that's not overlapping any of the video that we just did. And just like we did the last one, we're going to change that to channel 8. And then I guess you can change the top as well. I'm just gonna change that to say at 10 p.m. So this, or you can change that to news, whatever you want. It's up to you. All right, so there's your title. There is your lower third. That's how you order things in the timeline, how you move things around in the timeline. Does anybody have any questions for me? Okay.